Matthew 9:35-38. And Jesus went throughout all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom. Remember what Brian said about proclaiming? That's good. Proclaiming the gospel. It's loud. Proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom and healing every disease and every affliction. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion for them because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to the disciples, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore pray earnestly to the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest. What's his point there? What's his prayer? Jesus has a very specific prayer in this passage. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but I want to bring it to your attention again. Because if we miss this, we may have missed everything. His prayer here is not for the harassed and the helpless, is it? He looks out at this multitude that's in front of him. And if you go back through and you look in Matthew chapter 9 in the preceding verses, he's gone through the cities and villages, just like he says here in Matthew 9:35, and he's healed people and he's casted out demons and he's helped people. His heart has gone out to them, and he has stepped in, and he's done something physically to help them. Now he stands in front of this multitude of people who are still harassed and helpless. Like sheep without a shepherd, they are being beaten by Satan. They can't overcome him. He's too strong. So what's he do? He turns around and he looks at the disciples and he prays for the church. He prays for you and me. He doesn't pray for them, for the multitudes of people that are hurting. Like, that's what I would do. I bet that's what you would do too. If we looked out and we saw, you think about the inauguration. Every inauguration we have millions of people there. Now the presidential inaugurations, you look out and you'll see, just a sea of people. And you look out and you start thinking, there's faces to each one of those little blurry blobs on my TV. And there's a soul behind each one of those little faces. And there's hurt, and there's despair, and there's pain, and there's sin, and there's guilt, and there's condemnation behind each one of those faces. And there's millions of them. My mind can't get over that. Every time I see a big group of people, I can't get over it, And so maybe you find yourself praying for that group of people. Just let them see truth. Break their hearts so that they can come to you. That's where I always find myself. That's not where Jesus found himself. He didn't look at the crowds and pray for them. He looked at the crowds and prayed for us. Why? Because he knew that if the broken and the ones who are being beaten by Satan, if they hear about his truth, they will come to him. He has no doubt about it. His offer is gracious and kind, and it is everything. Life-changing, revolutionary. If they hear about it, they will come. He's scared they won't ever hear about it because we won't ever tell them. Go back and look at his prayer. He prays for workers to go out into the harvest. Because the harvest is so big. And it needs everybody he can put out there. You are 100% indispensable. You are necessary.